Welcome everybody to another edition of Fix My List. I'm Richard Siegler. This is Mr. Jack Harpster, or the Jackster as we like to call him.
That's right, Hap Jackster.
So we are here with Fix My List. This is a weekly show that we have live. This week is not live. We are at WTC and a variety of events, so this is pre-recorded. If you do want to super chat throughout this one, just make sure you also comment after the fact. We'll make sure we respond in the comments, so please do that. But this is a weekly show, and if you want to submit your list to us, all you have to do is join the War Room, be a War Room member, whether on our own platform in the description, thewarroom.vhx.tv, where there's a 3-day free trial, or you can sign up on YouTube as well if you prefer that. But any War Room members who are in our Discord can go ahead and submit in our Fix My List submission thread. And there's tons of lists in there. Every week we've been switching the factions. So we did Imperium, we're doing Xenos, we're going to have Chaos One, Aldari, etc. We're going to rotate through all of them, try and get a lot of different lists. So if you want to submit your list, that's the way to do it.
I believe next week is going to be Space Marines of various flavors. So if you are a Power Armor lover, go ahead and get your lists in there. And you know what? Let's also include Grey Knights in that.
Absolutely. They are Power
Absolutely. They
Armor.
are Space Marines.
They're the coolest Space
They're
Marines.
the best Marines. They have the 2-up armor.
Exactly.
That's right.
If you like this type of content, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and also tell your friends about it. And leave a comment telling us what you think about the list choices that we've made and what you've been having success with.
All right. Well, with no further ado, let's get in. This is Xenos. So we have a selection of great Xenos lists for you.
You know I love my Xenos.
That's right. That's why I brought you on. I figured now's the day of the Siegs. Time to bring him on. We've got Grant Martin's Necrons. Why don't you tell us what's in this list?
All right, so Grant here has... This is a very competitive Necron list. We could just say, hey, this is a great list. Go run this at a tournament. You're going to have a lot of success. So, but we're not going to do that. We're going to try and make it even better than it is. So bring it from a very good meta list to this is probably the best thing that you could run right now. So it's 2 Overlords here with Res Orbs, and one has the Hypermaterial Ablator for that stealth and cover if the if the ranged attacks are more than 12 inches away. 2 Hexmark Destroyers, one with the Sovereign Coronal, and one just hanging around. 2 Technomancers for that sweet 5-up invul or 5-up Pheno Pain on your Lich Guard, which there's 2 10-man Lich Guard bricks with the swords and shields for a 4-up invul, as tanky as possible. 2 units of Crypto Thralls that are going to go inside the Lich Guard units to make them even tankier. We've got the Reanimator to make sure reanimation is more efficient. 3 Doomsday Arcs. These are long-range firepower and good anti-elite, anti-tank. And then 3 units of 3 heavy Locust Destroyers, all with the Gauss Destructors, which is a high-strength, high-AP, flat 6 damage weapon, but only 1 shot.
Only 1 shot apiece. I don't know if I love that. 1 shot on these guys. Hitting on 3's base, although they are heavy, and also if they're near the Sovereign, they'll get +1 to hit. But still... Hitting on 3's base means if Sovereign goes away, if Sovereign does something else, or if the units are split up, which is what will happen most of the time, is if the units are split up, some of them are going to be moving to get an angle, hitting on 3's, and that's the point where they become incredibly unreliable, especially into vehicles. Hitting on 3's, wounding on 3's is asking for putting 1 save on your opponent. They make their invul and they take 0 damage.
They do have lethal hits, though. If you roll that 6 to hit, auto wound, Jack, no problem.
They're strength 14. The wounding was not really the... I mean, I guess if you have no rerolls to wound, then wounding is a bit of an issue, although I wish they had sustained hits on the Gauss Destructor. I'm not super impressed with the Gauss Destructor. I don't know about you, Siegs, but...
I have run it several times, and frankly, when I run them, I usually want, like, 8... Basically, how I think about them is they are a supplement to make sure that whatever the Doomsday Arcs don't finish off, these guys do. So that's the... Okay, I left something on, like, 4 wounds remaining. I don't have any more Doomsday Arcs to shoot. I have another shooting unit that can finish it off. That's really what I'm looking at. And also, if I'm playing against a lot of Knights, you can kind of swing under with their invulns, but if you bring enough firepower, you will get through that first one, and you have to be able to kill a Knight a turn, really.
Yeah, there were no comments on the list by Grant Martin. He let the list speak for itself. So it looks very much like it is teched to fight into lots of vehicles.
Lots of vehicles, and that's the meta. I mean, high toughness, high amount of wounds are all over the meta, and you need the ability to deal with it. However, Necrons have 2 of the best... I'm just going to put these in the middle of the table. It's very very inefficient to deal with them. So that's Lich Guard. The other unit is Warriors. There are no Warriors here. We're going to keep the double Lich Guard theme because that has been the stock standard. I think you either go double Lich Guard, you go for Lich Guard brick and a Warrior brick, or you go for all Warriors. It's one of those three options. Double Lich Guard is the most meta right now because effectively there's a couple armies that have ludicrous blast weapons and they insta-delete the Warriors so that you don't get a chance to reanimate. But against armies that don't have the ability to one-shot a Warrior brick, Warriors infinitely come back and a lot faster than Lich Guard do.
They do. Those are really your two options. Do you want Warriors? Do you want Lich Guard? Do you want one of each? Do you want double Lich Guard? What are we looking at?
Yep.
And I think I totally agree we can keep double Lich Guard, right? We got Lich Guard plus a Techno, plus an Overlord, plus Crypto Thralls. It's a little on the expensive side, but the base cost of the unit is so low that it tends to work out.
Exactly. However, there's one unit in here that is completely missing that I think is one of the strongest in the game.
Would it be a Transcendent Catan?
It would, in fact, be a Transcendent Catan with Sempiternal Weave, which has recently received that FAQ update, where it is not the only unit without reanimation protocols. It does, in fact, now have reanimation protocols, which means you can heal it two ways. First, through reanimation, which is going to happen at the end of your command phase. And when it does, you're going to roll 2d3 because you're going to be within 12, hopefully, of a reanimator. But even if you're not, d3 alone is awesome. And then you have a Technomancer with Canoptic Cloak, which is going to heal a further d3 on you.
So if this thing is near your lines, you can heal it for 3d3 in a turn after it already halves damage and has a 4-up Feel No Pain.
It is ludicrously tanky, and it's a different profile from the Lich Guard, where Lich Guard can suffer against a couple blast weapons as well. The Transcendent does not care whatsoever about that. And so it can get out on an objective, operate by itself in a flank. It can advance and get into your opponent's backlines, potentially shoot something away, and then the next turn move up and charge onto an objective. It's just a great tool. It could do mission stuff. It's expensive doing mission stuff. But if you really need it in the late game, it can definitely do that as well.
Yeah. Now, the thing I noticed here is this list is great. It is now 290 points over. So we do need to free up some points. I personally think it's going to come out of the Locust Heavy Destroyers. I'm a big fan of Doomsday Arcs. I'm less of a big fan of the Gauss Destructors.
I agree. So I think we can keep some of them because I actually like having the redundancy of firepower, and it's also the fact that if you have your Doomsday Arcs all in a kind of one area, or you have two in one and one in another, you probably don't bring enough firepower to bear on a specific if your opponent's kind of split up. So let's have the ability to be able to shoot at two angles. I think if we're going to go for the Transcendent here, probably 2 Doomsday Arcs is enough.
Okay.
Let's cut the third one because that's going to save us a load of points.
That's
and
right.
Let's cut down the Locust Destroyers, I think, into 3. Let's start with 2 2-mans, and we can always add more if we want.
Okay, so a 2-man with 2 Gauss Destructors be, 100? It should be 90 points?
Yep, I'm going to pull this list up real quick.
Yep.
And start editing it. So
I'm a big fan of the Enmitic Annihilators. They're very good into some armies. I don't think you want too many of them, because they're very good into some things and worse into others.
I just as good as they are, like, they're awesome into demons, utterly crippling into demons. I found that I just don't need that type of firepower against the harder armies, where, like, Custodes, tough army to deal with. Deathwatch, tough army to deal with, where it's just not helping as much. It's those Armor of Contempt, 2-up save and cover type of armies. And I think Necrons need a little bit of shooting help there.
Okay. So here's another thought. Do we need the second Hexmark, the second Galactopus? And do we need the first one over a Technomancer that's 10 points cheaper and can heal vehicles?
That is 100% fair. Let me delete this and get that third unit of 3 out of there. So we're ready at, if we just keep, so you did 2 units of 2.
Yep, we can always go to 2 units of 3.
Yep.
Locust Heavy Destroyers. I am a fan of the Locust Heavy Destroyers. Although it is a little unreliable, they are on the cheaper end.
So we got 100. We're at 1880 by making those changes, adding the Transcendent, getting rid of a Doomsday Arc, and getting rid of a full squad of Locust Heavies, and bringing the other 2 down to 2.
Okay.
So we got 120 points here. Now, Hexmark Destroyers. So the tech here, and this is very serious for Necrons, is they have a real weakness into Genestealer Cults. That is specifically because a unit of Acolytes with blasting charges can annihilate a unit of Lich Guard. in one activation. 150 point unit kills a 400 point unit.
Yep.
The only way to realistically stop that is a combination of Hexmark destroyers and or death marks.
Even there, that is reaching against good players for sure.
It is reaching. They're going to be near the unit, and you're gonna have to position perfectly for this scenario to work. But if they want to come down within 6 inches, you need to make sure that if they're within 6 of any of your models with blasting charges, your hex marks are then going to be able to see the unit. Now, 2 of them still doesn't reliably kill enough models to make sure that the blasting charges are gone. They can, but they could also swing down because you overwatch with the first one, and you get to hit on 2s, strength 6, stop.
Wound on 2s.
Wound on 2s. Aren't acolytes T4?
Oh, yes. Acolytes, sorry, wound on 3s.
3s. But AP2 and...
Ignores cover?
No.
So they get a 6 up.
So they get a 6 up. The second one then overwatches for free, and it's one of the few units in the game that explicitly calls out free overwatch, even if it's been used already. So you got 2 of them shooting. The only way to efficiently do this is if you can shoot the Primus. 2 of them should kill the Primus, and the Primus is the full rerolls. So we have to decide how serious is the GSC problem. I think it's... Yeah.
The main issue here, I think, is that a good opponent will put out the demo charges and then string back to the Primus behind a wall. Because they have the ability to choose where their unit goes. Mm-hmm. So they're going to put the blasting charges near you, and then they're going to put their character behind a wall so you can't see him. So you have to actually get through the whole unit. And on average, they kill 2 of them kills exactly 6.
So the question now is, do we go to 3, or do we accept that 1 is just the tech choice that we're bringing?
I don't actually think this solves the problem. I think that a unit of GSC comes down, you shoot them, then they drop a unit with a Nexus and a Primus, and they delete you. And they're still okay with that trade. Because their unit that you killed, even if you kill it, you might not, goes into reserves, goes into a blip, comes back out, goes into reserves, and shows up next to you again. I don't actually think that solves the issue.
You have to deal with the acolytes, though. If
you don't, that's true.
You lose 2 Lich Yard bricks, 2 turns, and you're dead. It's just game over.
That's
this
true.
is just a fundamental issue, and because this list started as a very competitive list, I assume this person Grant is trying to actually win tournament games. If you're trying to play tournament games, you're playing against GSC for sure.
Yes.
So I think that if you are playing in a meta where there are good GSC players, you have to bring 3. Okay. Or you bring some amount of death marks, but I think hex marks are better.
Okay, so I think if we're taking 3, that becomes a lot more of a viable game plan. Because you have the capability to put down a unit and then another unit behind it if that happens, or if you get to see where they allocate their characters. If they show up, 3 of them will just delete the unit.
And just think about it. In other matchups where they're trying to chip down the Lich Guard, you're still shooting back 3 Hexmark Destroyers every single time.
Yep, they drop their unit within 12 of the Lich Guard, which they have to do, right, to get the rapid fire range on their seismics. They shoot you with that. 3 Hexmarks shoot back. They drop a second unit, shoot the Lich Guard, 3 Hexmarks shoot back. Just helps get you some tempo.
Exactly.
In the game. So, unless I miss my guess, this leaves us with 50 points.
It should indeed. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. That does leave us with 50 points unless we want to edit anything else here.
So what that could be is take 1 unit up to a 3-man and then split this squad up.
I think we are missing one other tool that we need in the top of the meta.
What are you thinking?
Necrons. So there's this unit called the Night Spinner, which you may or may not be familiar with.
A little, yeah.
It is -2 to your movement, advances, and charges.
Miserable, one might say.
If you are trying to walk Lichguard up the board and you go second against Eldar or Yunari, you are done.
But what if, you could just teleport your unit up the board?
What if you could get a unit on the center objective and start there, so if the other unit's slowed, it'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But you need to get on the center with Necrons.
Yeah, it's not -2 move, advance, charge. It's -2 move and no advance.
No advance. Worse.
But no minus charge.
Okay.
So
still, the advance, you're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. But what it does mean is if you teleport, you're getting a 9-inch charge.
Yeah.
With a reroll. It's about 45% chance of going off. And if you fail it, you're still in the center of the board where you want it to be.
Yeah, if you're as long as you're at the center already, you're near those middle field objectives, you're in a good spot with Necrons. So I think, personally, you need to play the Veil. of
Okay.
darkness enhancement.
Agreed.
We're at 3 enhancements. We're not going to cut the Sempiternal Weave because we want the Transcendent, the Sovereign Coronal, or the Hypermaterial Ablator. So Doomsday Arcs are heavy, so they can get +1 to hit by themselves if they're standing out in the open.
Same with the Locust Heavy Destroyers.
Same with the Locust Heavy Destroyers. I kind of lean towards getting rid of that because I like having stealth on a Lich Guard unit. And if our shooting's a bit less efficient, so be it. We need to keep those Lich Guard alive because that's the whole game plan.
Yeah, if you can't sacrifice the main core of your list to make some cutesy tech piece stuff work.
Yeah, they'll still do good shooting. It just won't be max efficiency, and we'll have to accept that, I think. So we're going to go ahead and get the Veil on one of the other
Probably
Lord.
the other Overlord.
Yeah, because they're much harder to snipe out.
Yeah, they're -1 damage, which is very...
Very good. All right, so we got Hypermaterial.
Veil of Darkness. And if you could just let me know how much that would run you.
Yep.
I can update the points total.
And the thing is, if you're not playing against GSC, the hex marks are still a lone op unit. They can still deep strike and come in, get into the backfield, do actions and stuff. So they're still a very good mission tool.
They're useful into Eldar. Eldar has a lot of shooting. Lone ops are very nice there.
Yep, and a lot of MSU shooting. They're going to shoot back constantly. So then we're looking at 60 points remaining without increasing the size.
How much is Veil?
The Veil was 20.
20, so 105 for that guy.
Yes, sir.
And we're looking at how much left?
60 left.
60 left. So, here's the question. See if you agree with me. I don't like Locust Heavy Destroyers without Sovereign Coronal. Hitting on 3s, unless you move, is going to be pretty rough. These Locust Heavy Destroyers are pretty close to just being a Doomsday Arc. And then we could pick up a trash unit with the last remaining 55 points.
We totally could.
What's your trash unit of choice?
I think there's 2 options here. Either we go for the 3rd Doomsday Arc, or we do 3 solo heavy destroyers, which can either be mission plays and against armies that don't matter, and we still have 3 guns that could pop through. And it's split up so that if our opponent just kills one, it's fine. Okay, they killed a 45-point dude, which doesn't matter. Or we could just grab the 3rd Doomsday Arc, which would leave us with 55 points. Not enough to get a Technomancer, which is where I was leaning, to get just another lone op.
Just a 4th lone op?
Yeah, I just love lone ops that are... Because he's fast, too. He's a great area denial piece in the early game. Just advance into the center.
Where does your heart lean, Richard? What direction?
So we could just get a solo heavy Locust Destroyer and have a weird 10 points remaining. A bunch of the ones like Tomb Blades we can't afford.
How many points are they?
80 points.
I mean, they're pretty good, but
they're pretty
80 points
good.
is a lot.
So we can go for a Scarab, we can go for heavy Locust Destroyers, we can go for a 3rd Crypto Thrall unit, and just have them as be our little MSU mission play. And we could go for a regular Locust Destroyer.
Yeah, those guys are 30 points each, so we could just tack 2 of them on. They're just decent mission
We only have 55. So.
A 55 if we turn the Locust Heavy Destroyers into a Doomsday Arc.
Yes, right? Exactly. Or we can keep them the solo.
We could keep them solo. I like getting a 3rd Doomsday Arc. I think they're better than 4 Locust Heavy Destroyers.
Yeah, their defense is definitely bad. They have defense, whereas Locust Heavy Destroyers don't. So if we delete them and get it, we have 55 points left. And I kind of lean towards having another Crypto Thrall unit. This is what I've liked as my mission play. They actually, in a game against Custodes, Strategic Reserved got into kind of the backfield on turn 3, made a charge, killed the cheap unit that was there, and just sat on the home objective the rest of the game.
Yeah, this list has a lot of nonsense in it. It has 3 Hexmark Destroyers, it has a Transcendent Catan, it has a freewheeling unit of Crypto Thralls just running around. That is a decent amount of mission play. It's a decent amount of skirmish, because Hexmark Destroyers are great skirmish pieces. Your opponent rocks up to you with like sniper scouts, you shoot them, they shoot you, you don't die, you shoot back, you heal back to full, you shoot them again.
Yeah. We have 15 points left over, which is a weird number to have.
It's unfortunate, really.
But it is probably the most efficient unless you want to swap a Doomsday Arc for getting other stuff. So,
is it possible to upgrade a Hexmark to something for 85? Is 85 a breakpoint?
We can get another Lord in here. That doesn't do anything.
You're right.
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. We could get Tomb Blades instead. unit of Tomb Blades instead. But I think if we're going for 2, like we said, hex marks, we just go for 3, and we have the anti-GSC tech that we need, which I think is kind of mandatory with this list. Otherwise, you lose 2 Lichguard bricks to demo charges, and you're like, wow, my army is dead.
Yep. Yeah, you can't.
Feels good.
You can't let that happen.
I think we have to. If you're a Necron player, your army is great. Eldar and GSC are in a tier above by like a clear margin,
And that's for everyone.
And that's for everybody. So you have to, if you're trying to win like a 5-round GT, which I kind of expect with a list like this, then we have to tech for those 2 options, and we have.
Yep. We have Doomsday Arcs. 3 Doomsday Arcs can threaten a Wraith Knight. They have to deploy it off board, because otherwise you go first and you can put that Wraith Knight down. So they have to deploy it off board, buys you a decent amount of space, unless they're willing to just risk it. In addition, against Eldar, you have a bunch of lone operatives, and a Transcendent Catan who does not die.
And the Veil, so that if they hit you with Night Spinners, you still can get into the center with the Veil play.
Yep, big deal on that one. Against GSC, we have triple Hexmark Destroyer. Just make sure your positioning on that is... All right.
It does require you to actually be very well versed with playing this army, but try and get as many reps into local GSC players or Eldar players so that you know how to position the army.
Yep. And in most matchups, the Hexmark Destroyers and this unit of Crypto Thralls are your trash.
Yep.
Where a decent amount of them will go into Deep Strike or go into Strategic Reserves or whatever and show up when you need something in a particular area of the board.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. I love the list.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's quite good.
It is very similar to my tournament list for Necrons.
Oh, that makes sense.
But I saw, based on the archetype here, that this is what Grant was going for, so we just want to give you the best possible advice. Usually it isn't turning lists into what we think is just solely the best. Usually it's sticking with a theme. But I think because you were trying to, based on your design, really go and have a good win rate at tournaments, I think this is where you want to go right now.
Yep. The T-Catan is just so good right now.
It is. Very few armies in the game can actually deal with it.
Yeah. It doesn't do crippling damage.
No, it doesn't.
Which is sad. But what it can do is tie your opponent up. Because they would, if you run this into a unit of Custodes, well, they might be stuck there.
Yep.
Just make sure it's not like a 10-man unit of Custodian Guard. They will actually kill it.
It's also super good in the mirror matchup, where you need to base up things and block them from getting on objectives. It's great there.
But ordinarily, he just runs around doing secondaries all game and is unable to be dealt with, and that's great. For points cost, that's great.
With reanimation protocols, you don't need the Technomancer nearby to heal him. It's only if you expect him to take a good amount of damage, like against a Wraith Knight or something, where you'd want the Techno nearby to heal up.
He can also teleport back to the Techno, get healed back up, teleport next to the Reanimator, etc., get healed up the next turn.
Yep.
So if you need him to take a turn off to heal up, you can do that. Mm-hmm. All right. I think that's it for that one. Let us know what you think in the Discord. On to the next one. We've got Votann from GP.
Votann. Now, this is an army that probably not a lot of people are familiar with because it is towards the bottom. I believe it is one of the lowest win rate armies out there statistically. However, I don't believe that it is the worst. I think it is clearly better than Death Guard. There's 0% chance that a teched Votann list is going to be losing to Death Guard. Come on out here. So let's try and build a good Votann list.
All right. So GP has some comments.
Yes.
It's named Suicidal Call. 5-man with a call starts on the table. Wayfarer's Grace, etc. allows multiple tokens to be applied even if he dies. And Newfound Nemesis lets you punish units that don't fully kill the unit.
Yep.
All right. You want to tell me what's in this list, Siegs?
Okay. So we got 3 calls here. The call ability is when he's a leader, the unit gets lethal hits, which 6 to hit or auto wound. That's very nice. But in addition, they can also take a Rampart Crest to give the unit they're leading a 5-up invulnerable save. Also a bonus. It's a very pricey character. All the Votann characters are, which is unfortunate. And each one is a caddy for an enhancement. And Votann have some pretty solid synergistic ones. But the best one is not here, and we're going to have to get it in. So a long list is when that unit kills something. If it has a judgment token, you can swap that judgment token to a different enemy unit that's visible. The Grim Demeanor is essential. It's a great upgrade. It gives you reroll battle shock tests, and every Votann unit, including their characters, is leadership 7.
Are you kidding me?
Not kidding you. That is 100% true. Games Workshop believes that is how it should be.
The calls are lead 7?
Lead 7, every single unit.
Strong
lead
choice.
infantry, right? So reroll battle shocks. You might say, hey, that's not that impactful, but it's very important on a big unit Hearthguard. But on top of that, you also get a second ability, which is ignore all modifiers to your unit's characteristics. And that has been ruled to include modifying your AP with like Armor Contempt, modifying damage. We just talked about the Catan doing half damage. Nope, not against Grim Demeanor.
Yep.
So
It does vary tournament to tournament, but WTC has ruled it that way, and we are waiting to hear from Games Workshop themselves.
exactly, because your weapons are technically part of your characteristics now on your data sheet. So great ability, but also movement modifiers, which Votann hate. Nope. Hit minuses to hit, minuses to wound, which are all over the game. Doesn't matter. So that just fantastic 20-point enhancement. And then the call with Wayfarer's Grace. When he dies on a 2-up, after the judgment token has been placed on the enemy unit that did the killing, you get to stand back up on a 2-up. And this is his whole plan, is to... Votann have a real problem generating judgment tokens. At the start of the game, you pick an enemy unit, it starts with 2, which is +1 to hit and +1 to wound. And outside of that, the only other way to generate them is through your opponent killing your units, which means you're not having many in the early game. So once they kill your units, you can start getting judgment tokens. There's the stratagem where if they get a unit below half but don't kill it, you can go ahead and proc. Or they just have to get it below half. I think it can include killing it. You get it below half, you can proc a judgment token, and if the warlord is in that unit, it's 2 judgment tokens. And then he stands this call back up and lets him die again to generate it. So trying to generate a lot of early game tokens through this suicidal Wayfarer's Grace call. However, it has prevented him from taking the best enhancement, which is Appraising Glare. And that is at the start of your command phase, you pick an objective your opponent controls, and anything on it counts as having 1 more judgment token. So if it has 1, if it has 0, it goes to 1. If it has 1, it goes to 2.
That feels like that's necessary because we don't have a lot of units here, and waiting for your opponent to kill you feels
exactly
rough.
The call unit is so... You might be asking, well, Suicide Call seems like he's going to generate more tokens and earlier, right? Potentially.
He does have to suicide.
Except your opponent could just simply say, I'm going to either not kill this unit and not even bother targeting because it's a slow-moving nonsense unit, or it's in a Sagittar getting deposited in front of their army. Frankly, what they'll probably do is either whittle it down, tie it up in combat, or just go ahead and say, I don't care what this thing is doing. I will wait out the turn and then just contest the objective and not even interact with this unit because it's going to do basically no damage inside a unit. And I don't think it's worth paying 115 points plus 67.5 points for 5 troops to get that.
Seems reasonable.
So, the rest of the list is 3 Hearthkin Warrior units. These are some of the worst troops in the entire game. They are basically do no damage, and their defense is terrible. What they do is they sticky objectives, which is a very good rule, and something Votann wants. And they can be split up instead of a 10-man unit to 2 5-mans with a Sagittar.
Do we need 30 of them, though?
We absolutely don't. Do we need 5 Sagittars? No, they're a relatively efficient and solid transport, but they're still 120 points and they have very little defense, so also not great. However, it has 2 units of Hearthguard, and those are straight up automatic in my mind. They're the best data sheet by far, and they are the central core of all of my Votann lists. So, with that being said, we are going to keep the call with Grim Demeanor, and we are going to keep the call with a long list, and we're going to delete the call with a Wayfarer's Grace.
Okay, so you said, go over that again. You said we're keeping those 2?
Keeping the Grim Demeanor guy. He's going to go in a Hearthguard unit, and then we're going to have the call with a long list go in a Hearthguard unit.
This guy, on the other hand, is less lucky.
He is straight up deleted.
Bye. Sorry.
As cool as this suicide call is, a savvy opponent, they probably don't even need to be savvy. They might just kill him anyway with some nonsense. What I would do is I would shoot at you with nonsense because the unit is trash. It's just a bunch of 5 dudes with no defense and a call. Just shoot at you with nonsense. Yeah, you give that unit judgment tokens, but who cares? It's a crap unit. That's what I would do. So I don't think this is good.
No, unfortunately, now that I have deleted him, I now have 2 judgment tokens on me.
You have been grudged.
Oh, no.
Okay, the troops, we cannot run more than 10 of them. Okay. They are just way too expensive.
I'm all aboard that train.
That has to go.
So are you saying that means we have 2 Sagittars to break up the Hearthguard?
We only need 1 Sagittar. Let's keep 2 for now, but we're definitely not running 5.
Okay, so this is now the core of the list. Looks a lot smaller than it was before, for sure.
We need stuff and we need damage.
Okay,
In Votann.
so Einhir Hearthguard are good. You like those. Is there anything else that you like, any other data sheets you like in the book?
In terms of units that do damage?
Yeah.
No, none of other units do damage besides Hearthguard.
Okay.
You would be shocked.
Are we taking a third Hearthguard unit?
No, but there is Brokir Thunderkin. So we're going to grab 2 of those guys. 3 mans. And they have let's say a solid anti-vehicle weapon. It's blast, so d6 shots blast, strength 5, AP2, 2 damage, anti-vehicle 2+.
And this is how many points are they?
They are 95 points for 3 models.
Okay, so they are basically an Eradicator squad.
They're like Eradicators, not nearly as good, but they are relatively cheap for what you get in Votann, and they can actually do damage. Anti is a very rare rule in this book, and you want some of it.
Okay, so 3 Thunderkin with the 3 Graviton Blast Cannons.
Yep.
Seems pretty good. You said 2 units of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, love that.
So we've got our 2 Einhir Hearthguard units. Frankly, what I've found is that Vulcanite just doesn't do enough, so I want to change both to plasma guns. I know that only one unit can get Grim Demeanor to ignore like -1 damage, but still I believe plasma does more. It's less volume of shots, but the mortals on Vulcanite are so inconsistent, and so much of the meta has 2-up save that it just doesn't really punch through, unfortunately.
Yeah. It is a little better because a 3-up save can't go to a 2-up with cover.
Yeah.
But there are still a lot of units that just have a 2-up, and having the plasma to cut through that is definitely helpful.
And the key here is that we also have the blast weapon on them.
Which helps cut through that as well.
Helps cut through the like trash units.
And it has longer range.
Okay. Go ahead and copy paste the Hearthguard unit again.
I knew we were getting there.
We have to. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, everybody who doesn't own 30 Hearthguard, but it's by far the best way to play this army. It's not even close. They are by far the best data sheet. They're the only data sheet that retain BS of the regular units that retain BS and weapon skill 3+. So with Judgment Token 1, they go to BS and weapon skill 2+. And they have, I take the Concussion Gauntlets for strength 9, AP2, 2 damage. Which
seems pretty good.
Is a very solid profile once you add in +1 to wound.
Unfortunately, this army is at a place where it is not very powerful. I know that's going to come as a shock to everybody listening. But they have something like a 30% win rate or something.
27, 28. It's not good. However, I believe this army is much better than that win rate. Yes. They're not going to beat the top armies. Just forget about it. We're not, like with Necrons, where we were like teching for GSC and Eldar and trying to make... We're not even thinking about that. We're trying to beat Space Marines and below.
Yeah. And so what that means for an army that doesn't have a lot of data sheets, doesn't have a lot of good data sheets, is you find the one good data sheet that you have, and you take as many as you can.
Yes. You could run 20. I don't hate 20, but I think 30 is the optimal one, so we're going to go with that here. Okay. So we got 30 Hearthguard. We got our 2 characters. We need a 3rd character because a character inside the unit unlocks -1 to wound. And these guys really want -1 to wound. So we're going to go ahead and grab an Einhir Champion.
Okay, seems pretty good. What does an Einhir Champion do? Versus what does a call do?
We're going to... So the Einhir Champion gives you... is much cheaper than a call. So he's only 75 points base. And we're going to actually switch a long list to this guy and make him 90 points.
Sounds good. What weapon upgrades are we looking at? So he's 90?
Yep. He's going to get a Dark Star Axe for volume of attacks. We could put the Mass Hammer on him. Honestly, let's put the Mass Hammer on him. It's more fun.
What does the Mass Hammer do?
It's only 3 attacks, but it's strength 12, AP2, I believe, D6 +1 damage.
Okay, that's not
hits
nothing.
on 3s, but with Judgment Tokens, hits on 2s, strength 12 with +1 to wound against most things. It can help spike. But he has his other upgrade. We're going to go ahead and put the Teleport Crest on him.
Okay.
He can't take a Rampart Crest.
What is going on in this call?
He is getting Appraising Glare.
And how many points does that make him?
Appraising Glare is 20 points.
So a call is normally how many?
The basic call is he 90 points? He's 90 points.
So 110.
I cannot believe that is a point value, but...
Okay, so where does this leave us in terms of our points?
All right. So we've got double call. We've got... I am looking at the wrong list. All right, so we got double call. Get the Wayfarer's Grace man out of here. We got the champ boy who is doing his champ things. He's got a long list. Okay. And we cut down those troops because they are so darn expensive. And the Sagittars, I've tried playing with multiple of them. Their defense is just not good enough. Really, their only purpose is to split up the troops and bring them around, in my opinion.
Okay.
Okay. And then we've got 2 of these Thunderkin units. So with all of that, we are looking at 1740.
Okay, that is lower than I was worried it would be.
Okay, so we need a tool. Most top armies, and really if you're playing tactical, which Votann typically are, need a tool to go back into reserve and do actions in the late game or do behind enemy lines, teleport homers. The only unit that does this here is 3 Pioneers, and they're 105 points.
That's expensive.
It's expensive, but they're at least a fast unit as well.
They scout 9, they move 12. Yeah, they're not easy to like pin
They
down.
should be cheaper, but they're not, and we have to take them because I think that rule is required to do well on certain tactical draws, especially in the late game. So we have 3 Pioneers. Typically what I run them with is
115, you said?
105. Typically what I run is 1 High Las, and then I have the Scanner and the Searchlight, because I'm never spending stratagems on this unit for the Comm Survey.
Okay.
All right. So with that, we're at 1845, and here comes the spicy tech.
Oh, I'm looking forward to the spicy tech. What do we got?
So I know GP is going to appreciate this. We need more cheap units, right? We got our 3 big bricks that are going to do damage. We've got, we're going to delete 1 of the Sagittars because we only need 1.
Okay, so that's going to take us down to,
That takes us to
1725.
That takes us to the 1845. I was not counting I was down to 1 Sagittar. And
I see.
So, okay, so we need a couple more cheap units. We have 3-man Thunderkins. They can do area denial. They can go start in strategic reserves, which is usually what I do. We have the Pioneers to do it. But we need a couple other things. We need things that can just sit on objectives because our troops are just not useful.
Hold on. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I did a little math right now. 75 times 2 is 150.
It is 150.
It's 150. Am I correct?
You are 100% correct.
All right. What do you got? What are you taking?
Okay, so after the last game that I played where I dissed the Einhir champion, okay, this guy on the charge, I didn't mention it, he does on a 2-up D3 mortals or on a 6 flat 3 plus D3.
It's pretty good.
Okay, so what I did, he basically single-handedly defeated a Wolfguard Terminator unit and then just kept charging. He kept surviving.
What?
Not single-handedly. He was with Hearthguard.
Okay,
But man,
okay.
They took the damage and they doled the damage out and beat them to death. And then continued beating other things to death.
So what I'm hearing is that you like Einhir champions.
I
also like Einhir champions.
I actually like the Einhir champion because let's look at his profile. Almost all the stuff on here has terrible defensive stats. It's like a 4-up save, and it's has a solid toughness value, but has terrible armor save. The Einhir champion, he's T6 with 5 wounds and has a 2-up save, and you could void armor him. He could sit in cover. This guy can tank, and you can throw a 4-up invuln, or you can throw it to a teleport crest to deep strike him.
I hear what you're saying, and he's not that expensive.
He's not that expensive. Think of it. 5 basic troops with a 4-up save, T5, are, guess how many? 67.5 points.
Okay.
He's 75. Way better defense, and if you put the Dark Star Axe on him, he's got 6 attacks, hits on 2, strain 6, AP 2, 2 damage. He can beat up all sorts of chaff, especially if he charges in with the mortals first and the killing. This guy's not bad.
That's true.
So I want to add 2 Einhir champions in here.
All right, I'm about it.
Because if our opponent undercommits, he beats up their trash easily. And their trash isn't doing anything against an Einhir champion.
Dark Star Axe, teleport crest, I'm assuming?
Yes. We could put the 4-up invuln on him, but he's probably fighting against trash anyway, and not much of the game is AP3, AP4. And frankly, if it's going there and not into our Hearthguard, so be it.
Yep, and also this lets you
Deep strike them in for
secondaries.
Yep.
And that takes us to a cool 1995 where the list is legal.
That's the list. What do you think, Mr. Jack? Like we got 3 damage dealers. 2 of them have lethal hits. 1 is reroll charges, and then we've got a smattering of mission play. We've got a troop unit that becomes 2 5-mans. One starts on our home objective and stickies it. The other one advances with the Sagittar into the top, our closest objective to our deployment zone, stickies it on turn 2. And then we've got Pioneers, Thunderkin, and Iron Champions do other mission and provide damage as needed.
It's certainly a lot beefier than before. The Hearthguard units, how many wounds are they apiece?
2 wounds each.
2 wounds each, but they have Void Armor. They have a 2-up save in cover. Going to be very annoying to try to put down in any kind of speed. -1 to wound.
Still has not killed
Toughness 6.
He has still not killed a unit of them.
That is, it's pretty spicy right there.
It is -1 to wound too, because the character's in the unit.
Yeah. So I like that. I like leaning into what makes the army good in the first place. Or what's best about the army.
I guarantee you that if Votann's only stats were based on triple Hearthguard list, they would have a higher win percentage. I think most people are not. Hearthguard have been out of stock since the Votann line released. They're almost impossible to get. I struggled to get basically the last 10 of them for a long time. So I finally got them. I got them on the table, played them spoilers into Space Wolves, and beat those Space Wolves into oblivion. So Votann have play against armies that have better rules, like of the moment. So you can punch up with this army, and this is what I came to after playing that game. I think this is an even better list than the one I ran, so I'm excited to put it on the table again.
Okay, so we expect to see something like this on the table fairly soon?
Expect to see basically this list.
Okay, I'm excited for it. Triple Einhir Champion. Maybe I'll be the person. Maybe my World Eaters.
I literally, at the beginning of the game, made fun of him. Like, the call's expensive. This guy's way worse than the call and is going to do nothing, but he's got to be in there for the -1 to wound. And then he was a star in the game. And I'm going to get
Dark
2 more.
Star.
He was the Dark Star of my heart.
All right. I love it. I want to see it. I want to see triple 30 Einhir Hearthguard just ruining Quentin's day on repeat.
This is going to happen. I don't know what his next army is that he's going to put out, but we're doing it. We're going to find something. We're going to find Sisters or one of those other armies and just put the beating on them.
I'm looking forward to it. All right. Last list of the day. Would you like to show off the prize attraction?
Okay. Somebody was a hero and submitted a Taunar list.
Sieg saw that, and he insisted that it be included. He has a Taunar. That thing is a fabled member of the Art of War household.
It is Nick's greatest nightmare.
That's right.
Although it has lived in his room for something like a little under 2 years.
Very much against his will. I think it was a solid year.
But based on his betting.
Yes.
So, the Taunar is here. It is one of my absolute favorite models, and I've won more games with the Taunar than anybody at a tournament. Because I went to many tournaments and took it and beat people up. So, this is like the winningest Taunar in the world. Okay. With all that being said, we're going to design a list in 10th edition around the Taunar.
We're going to try and make Hand of Thanatos' Taunar the most winningest Taunar of all time.
Okay.
So pass the title on.
Let's look at this list first. We'll dive into what the Taunar does immediately after we talk about what is in the exact list. So, the title of the list was Big Guns.
Big Guns.
Okay, and we got the biggest of guns.
The largest.
So Shadow Sun, she's there for reroll 1s to hit. She's a lone op, good buff piece. We've got Commander in Cold Star Battlesuit with Cyclic, Shield Gen, and a bunch of upgrades, but Exemplar the Kalyan in order to get that Kalyan active turn 2 instead of turn 3.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
6 Crisis Suits. You know I love that. That is peak competitive Tau right now, so all good. Tons of Cyclic. We got shield generators, shield drones for 6 wounds per piece. Can't disagree with that unit whatsoever. 3 broadsides. All right, 330 points, but man, these guys shoot pretty hard. And then we've got 3 3-man stealth suit, 3-man stealth suit, free rapid ingress, but also reroll 1s to wounds with their observer ability, 2 crude hound units, and a Taunar. That is not a lot of stuff. That is nowhere near enough amount of stuff. I'm sorry, but we are going to lose plenty of games by just not having stuff. And
yeah.
The crude hounds are in here, but that's not enough.
We have pain for our opponent, but we don't have the ability to play a game of 40k. If you're not tabling your opponent by turn 3, you've probably lost the game.
This army is not going to table them by turn 3. It's going to do quite a bit of damage to what they commit, but it's going to suffer getting angles and stuff outside the crisis unit. So we have to decide, do we want the crisis unit or do we want the broadsides? Because I don't think we can have more than 2 brick units here, for sure.
Yeah, and the Taunar is pretty bricked up.
It's pretty bricked up.
Pretty bricked up. I think I want the crisis suits are more expensive because they require a character, but I still think I want the crisis because the broadsides are slow. If we take the broadsides and the Taunar, then what that means is that we will have 2 very slow units trying to do our damage. I want one really fast unit in the Crisis battlesuits and one slower, heavier hitter in the Town Arm.
I agree completely. We need some sort of speed to chase down those opponents. Also, if we set the Town Arm up with a towering to be able to see over terrain, we can activate the Crisis unit first, strike and fade behind terrain, and then the Town Arm finishes off the rest of that unit.
Sounds good.
So, as much as broadsides can do a good amount of anti-tank damage, I feel like we have to cut something here, and I'd rather have the Crisis unit.
Okay. So that leaves us at 1670. What are you thinking of putting in this list?
We definitely don't need 2 stealth suit units. We're probably not rapid ingressing anything because we need that Crisis unit probably starting on the board. But against indirect fire, we can go ahead and decide, hey, we'll bring them in and rapid ingress them for free. So we don't need 2 of those. Now, Shadow Sun is the last piece here. So she gives reroll 1s, but let's go ahead and look at the Town Arm datasheet before we do anything else. His datasheet ability is that each time this model makes a normal advance, coordinated strike. When the model is guided and makes an attack against the spotted unit, reroll 1s to hit.
I see. So he does not need Shadow Sun, and the Crisis are very fast, running out ahead of your army to shoot, which means they're not going to be using Shadow Sun either.
Exactly. She does regen CP on a 5-up. We can get that in other ways, but frankly, for 140 points, I'd rather have a cheaper lone operative to do her job, and I would rather have a better observing unit.
Okay, so it sounds like she's also hitting...
I feel like we can't afford to have too many expensive things.
Okay, so that leaves us...
She's a luxury.
At 1455, which is a decent amount of points to be able to flesh out the... So this is the core of the list right here.
I think this is a solid core. We got 3 relatively cheap units, one of which can do area denial or give us rapid ingress for free against indirect fire, 1 fast mobile unit that can get angles, and the Town Arm to do big damage.
All right, so how are we filling this out?
Let me look at the Town Arm first and talk about weapon options.
Yes.
Because I disagree with what is being put here.
All right.
We've got the... so you have a couple options for arm guns and top guns. So the top gun that Thanatos chose here is the heavy rail cannon array, which is a 120-inch range 2-shot weapon, strength 26, AP 5, flat 16 damage, dev wounds, heavy.
Still gives a Wraith Knight a 6-up with cover. It's not going to have cover, but it's not going to have cover because you're going to spot it.
Yeah, I'm going to be spotted with something that has the marker light keyword and ignore cover. So this thing can delete a big Wraith Knight. However, so can the Crisis unit. And the thing is, as much as I want this amount of anti-tank, 2 shots, I think that we're probably better off with volume of fire on this unit.
I would tend to agree.
As cool as those 2 shots are, especially if they get sustained hits on turn 3 onward, that's awesome. I think that is probably going to be better if we have just volume of fire. So I think we go for the Pulse Ordnance Driver, and we get 3 of them. And those are 60-inch range, 8 shots, strength 5, AP 1, 3 damage, anti-infantry 2+. So
it's a lot of shots.
All of those Space Marines, all those Custody bodies, yeah, we're only AP 1. We could use the Strat if we get close to them towards the latter turns to get AP 2. But we get ignore cover with our Marker Light Observing unit. So that's 24 shots, anti-infantry 2+, that are going to be ignoring cover at AP 1 flat 3 damage. Every save is going to be brutal.
Speaking of loadouts, I feel like these stealth suits want some drones.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a second, but yes, let's go ahead and put a gun drone and a marker drone in there. In terms of the arms, we've got 2 options. We've got Fusion Eradicators, which are only 24-inch range, but 5 shots, strength 10, AP 4, D6, and Melta 3. Or we can go for the Pulse Ordnance, or the Triaxis Ion Cannon, which is 36-inch range, 3 plus D6 shots, blast, strength 9, AP 3 damage when they're overcharged, and you're almost certainly overcharging this every single time. So that's a very good profile. That plus the anti-infantry, that's a ton of flat 3 damage.
Yeah, I like that.
That is an absurd amount of flat 3 damage, ignores cover. So I think that's the direction we're going to go. It's longer range, and it's more reliable to do damage. Now, it does mean we're better into elite infantry than we are vehicles, but frankly, the 6-man Crisis unit deletes vehicles, and this will still do good damage into vehicles.
Yeah,
with the volume of fire that you're putting out. So I think that's the best alternative to go for with the Town Arm. So now let's build around knowing that. Okay, The gun drone and the marker drone on there. Marker drone is to give them the marker like keyword so that they ignore cover when they're an observer, and it's a good observer unit because they give you reroll 1s to wound, which is fantastic on the Taunar that's wounding things on 2s. Imagine that.
It's real good.
And then the gun drone is so we can advance and do actions.
Yes, because it gives them an assault weapon.
So now we need some support. And the Tetra is going to be a key. If you have a Taunar, you probably have access to Tetras. Is what I'm going to assume. And Tetras, their observer ability is reroll hits.
It's pretty good.
It's very good. And they have the marker like keyword.
How many Tetras are we thinking?
Let's put 1 in there for now.
Okay.
Because we still have some tools we need to add. So that should bring us to 1610 with all this.
Perhaps I've done my math wrong.
No, I still have the second stealth suit unit here. No, you're 100% right. 1535. Okay. We want some amount of lone operatives because we don't want to lose a shooting matchup and then have no points.
Yes, Tau do very well at having lone ops as well.
On Va, we don't have Farsight in here. We're probably not going to grab him. So let's get on Va. He is a Tank Master Supreme. -1 to hit, -1 to wound, 4-up invuln. He's got 2 bodyguards for ablative wounds, and then once per game is a 2-up invuln. This guy can just sit out in the open, and if they commit to him, the only thing that's killed him easily is a full brick of Deathwatch. What are they? Stern Guard. And okay, a 200-point unit killed my 65-point unit and exposed themselves. Perfect.
Yeah, Anva is a little ridiculous. He does kind of lead at the front of the unit, or lead at the front of the army, which is not exactly fluffy, but he doesn't care.
Well, if Games Workshop wanted to give him a good buffing rules for him to sit back, they should have done that.
No, they didn't.
If they're giving him Tank Master Supreme buffs, then he's going to do that.
He leads with the chin, man. He just goes out. So we have 400 points left. You know what I want in here? You know what I think is a great unit?
I want a second Tetra unit already.
All right.
It's a great screen. It's fast. It has infiltrate as well, and can just be up in get those angles with those crisis suits.
Okay. The thing I was going to say was I want some ghost kills.
So let's go ahead and start. Ghost kills are expensive, and there's already a lot of expensive stuff, but one ghost kill alone can just sit on your home objective or sit on the middle and force your opponent to go up there to do anything about it. So let's go ahead and add one ghost kill. And we can either put the cyclic if we think it's going to play at a longer range game, but I honestly have really enjoyed putting him on the center and just being like, either you're going to throw trash to contest this objective, or you're going to put your guns within 12 inches and then I'm going to kill all your guns. Yeah, I think that works even better with a Taunar. So let's go ahead and put one ghost kill in the list. That's 1850. That brings us
We're very close to having a second.
If we drop a unit of Crude Hounds, we get a second.
Seems good.
And that's probably better because they can do actions and do stuff anyway. And now, so the thing about the Taunar is it gets ludicrously silly when we get to turn 3 and it gets sustained hits, 1 or 2. So we need to survive. And Ghost Kills are outstanding at tying up enemy units. They are actually very good at just charging into things that come towards the center that want to shoot at the Taunar, which is going to be like backline. And they can jam them up for a turn, while our crisis units kill other damage dealers.
Yep, and the Taunar kills them and that sort of thing.
So that's going to leave us with 10 points remaining. We could upgrade the Crude Hounds to a Crutox if we wanted to. We could...
It would be very funny.
I honestly think that we don't need free rapid ingress on the stealth suits here, and we just delete them for the third unit of Tetras.
Okay.
Because we actually want redundancy of Tetras for the Taunar and the crisis unit.
Yep, and they're not a bad skirmish piece as it is.
And that would leave us with 5 points, which I think is totally fine.
So 1995. And now we are ready for our Taunar to go to work.
So this gives us a good amount of mission play. We've got the Crude Hound unit that can be their screen if we're screened out, or it can go do investigate signals. And then we got 3 units of Tetras. They can screen our backfield. And then we got 3 aggressive screens.
Sorry, Anva and Ghost Kills being lone operatives.
You can either pick the Fusion Collider or the Cyclic Ion, kind of up to your preference. And then you got the Battlesuit support system to fall back and shoot. But I think this is one of the strongest ways to build around a Taunar. The other way would be to just say, I need to kill my opponent in 3 turns, and then you drop both Ghost Kills and a Tetra unit, and you bring in another 6-man Crisis unit, and you just try and kill them.
Turn 2, you bring in the Exemplar of the Callion unit. Turn 3, you bring in the non-Exemplar of the Callion unit, and you just try and kill them.
And I think that's not going to work against good opponents. At least against good opponents, you can force them to have to deal with the ghost keels or get jammed up by them. And your Taunar will get extra turns of doing stuff. So I think this is a pretty solid archetype. But like I said, you could just go for another 6-man Crisis unit and just be like all guns all day. But I think you need that mobility.
Yeah, absolutely. I also really like the lone operatives that Tau has access to. The ghost keels are fantastic at that job, and I just think they're great.
Yep, it's either you go for, I have the ability to play out a game here, or I just am going to kill my opponent.
Yeah.
Either direction is totally up to your playstyle preference, and if you just want to kill people, go kill them.
Yep, although this list can also just kill people.
It could also, because you have one unit that gets angles, strike and fades back, and that's all your CP is, just basically going into the Crisis unit, getting striking and fading. And the Taunar is shooting everything else that it can see with the Towering keyword. Now, the Taunar's downside is that you do take -1 ballistic skill if you split fire against the stuff that's not guided, and you don't get the guided benefit against them. So there is a reason why he's probably a little too expensive for a competitive list. But against big brick armies, where they put out like 10 custodian guards,
You just level
he is actually awesome into that. So, like, big durable brick units, Necrons, they put out the big unit of Lich Guard, and you're just like, take this much damage. It's all flat 3.
Oh, yeah. So, you're -1 to wound? Don't care. Anti-infantry 2+.
Yep. It's very strong. So, if this is your type of style, please report back, because I'm very eager to hear about those games.
All right.
But thanks, everybody, for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this breakdown of some 3 different Xenos lists. And if you want to submit these lists, like I said, please join us as a War Room member, either on YouTube or in the description below, thewarroom.vhx.tv. That's our own platform. You get access to our own app and all the amazing things on there. And there's a 3-day free trial, so it doesn't hurt to check it out. You'll see all the other amazing content we have. And then you get access to our Discord community, which is very international. There's tons of people talking all the different faction channels. And you also get access to the Fix My List submission thread, where you can submit a list, and every single week we pick 3 of those.
That's
so
right.
We always go back. I mean, Jack and I scoured for Xenos lists, and we're like, oh, we found Taunar.
Yep. Seek saw the Taunar, and he was in. Next week is going to be Space Marines, so be sure to get your Space Marine lists in. Space Marines and Grey Knights, and we will do our best. I've been joined by the Taunar.
The Taunar.
The Taunar. All right. On that note, we'll leave you for this week, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends about us, and please do leave a comment telling us what you think about these lists and whether you would try them yourselves.
All right.
So long for now.
Bye-bye.